right, so we are going to jump right into this. For those that are new joining us, I am Brendan Bartik. I've been an assistant, a real estate agent on a team, owner. I've sold over $1 billion in residential sales. And the tactics and strategies that we go over in this coaching and the systems that we teach you are the same systems that I've used to sell, again, thousands of homes. My team uses, agents that I coach across the country. And so hopefully you can take from this not only the information, but the implementation of how to utilize this information. So we're really going to be trying to make sure that not only do you understand what you should do, but how you could start out doing it today or tomorrow and making sure that you put these as best practices. So let's jump right into it. So looking at the 6 easy steps, right, of selling the listing, the first step of really making this a process starts on the beginning process, which is what we call our transition to close page. Now, Anna will be kind enough to share this in the chat box with everybody because, yeah, for some reason it's a little blurry here on the screen. But looking at the transition to close page, and when she shares it, I'll bring it up a little bit more clear. The transition to close page, all this page does is when you've now secured the listing, you've taken your order form, which is part of our, and I just use that jokingly, the order form terminology, but you've taken all the information that you need to go and put this listing into the MLS. The main reason that you're also going to have this sheet, as you can see at the bottom right there, it says, make sure you get the Zillow coming soon photo. So that was a stamp that my administrative assistants had put on there to remind me when I left to make sure that I start taking pictures of the exterior property the moment that I leave. Now, if you've joined us in our other courses and able to do that at a high level, you need to make sure that you don't park in front of the house, right? Because then you have to get in your car, move your car. It seems awkward. If the owner's car happens to be in the driveway, you don't need to ask them to move it. Now, if it's a really good situation and you guys are hitting it off, you can, because you want to get those great coming soon photos. So when I leave, I take one of the front and then I go to both angles of the property and take one of each. Now, if it is a condo or a high rise or something that doesn't necessarily have the exterior, I will still take an exterior of the building. But usually in a high rise, I'm also going to take a picture of the view or something as a sneak peek inside the unit that I can leverage. Maybe the pool, if it has a pool in the amenities, maybe something, the fitness center, something that I can make sure that I'm working for my sneak preview. So step 1 happens at the actual conclusion of the listing appointment, is in gathering as much sample marketing as you possibly can. Now, I know not everyone, great English. I know that not everyone on here is utilizing a professional sign installation company. So if some of you have your panel sign in the back of your truck or back of your car or wherever it is, that's more than great. If you're using a panel sign, feel free to put that baby up immediately, get those calls started as soon as possible. We use a professional sign installation company because I'm not going to be there in dead winter trying to put in a big, yard arm sign. Now, the other piece of marketing when we're looking at putting the sign up is the coming soon sign. Now, I know every MLS has different rules on how long you can have this ahead of time, what the guidelines are and all that. So check with your local MLS, but getting that coming soon. So when I take a listing, speaking of the coming soon, I always allot myself enough time, usually 7 to 10 days, to be able to market the property as a coming soon before taking it to the active market. So if I'm talking to Anna and she's my seller and I'm giving her the rundown, if today is Tuesday, I'm not going to probably take this listing active until the following Thursday. And the reason is for several reasons. Number one is I want to under promise and over deliver. So if you go, you know what, we can have this listing on the market in 3 days, your photographer doesn't show up, the sign installed goes wacky, your brochures aren't made in time. You're putting yourself under so much distress that you're going to look like you screwed up instead of being nice and comfortable for the listing to launch in 7 to 10 days. Now, the other reason we want the listing to launch in 7 to 10 days is number one, so I can make the seller know that I'm an amazing person. When I tell them the Thursday, the strategy behind the following Thursday is that we know that that's statistically when the most agents and buyers look at the internet to start thinking about setting showings for the weekend. So it's statistically known that that's the highest amount of volume that you'll see on Zillow, Realtor.com, the MLS. So it's also a strategy that I provide to them. Now, could I take a listing this Tuesday and launch it this Thursday? Absolutely. But it really cuts it real thin on making sure that I deliver a high quality service. Okay. Now, the other reason for next week, and once I have this form filled out, is once we look at next week, then I have days to start doing my coming soon process. Okay, so sign installation is going to take 24 to 48 hours, depending upon what sign installation company you use. Now, the other pro tip on the signs for those that are new or are not doing this, so all of our signs have, it's called listings magic, right? And your company may offer something like this, maybe not, I'm not sure. We use listings magic, and all it is a 1-800 rider on the top of every one of my listings that says call for an audio description and photos of this property. Now, the reason I'm going through this part and why it's so valuable is you never want to use a brochure box. You never want to use a flyer box. Two reasons why. Number one, again, disappointing or irritating a seller. I used to do a flyer box for years. My sellers would get so mad because it would always be empty, it would always be wet, or it'd always be soggy, or it'd always be all of this. And the second reason is I don't know who's going to take a flyer or brochure if I have an automated number on the top that says call for pre-recorded information. It's a non-threatening lead capture mechanism. Not everyone wants to call me, even though my number's on the main panel sign. They don't want to call and talk to you as the agent because they're like, oh, he's going to try to sell me, right? They just want to call, pull up to the house, and get info on the house without having to get out of their car. Now, when you dial that number, it text messages you that person's cell phone number. So now you have lead capture. You can call them, harass them, just kidding, follow up with them until they go and purchase the home. So that 1-800 number, there's several different companies that do it. If you don't have Listings Magic, we'll send out some information after this on all the companies that do the riders, but it's extremely powerful, okay? Now, in addition to that rider, now the seller's happy because again, I'm not letting them down on flyers. I explain the strategy to them, which they go, oh, that makes sense. Another secret thing that Brendan does that no one else does, few people do. And again, I have a log of everybody that's interested in their home. All right. So sign matters. Also, in the coming soon process, make sure if you're doing a sign, if the property's on a corner lot or in a high traffic area, get 2 signs, 3 signs. If it's on a golf course, I have a sign on the back fence. I have a sign anywhere on earth I'm allowed to, because the more people that see my logo and my name, the better off I'm going to be. So check with the community, but you want your sign, and anywhere you can stick that puppy. Certain neighborhoods are going to have certain restrictions. Certain condo buildings will have certain restrictions, whether you can put it in the window or not. But this all starts from the very simple process of the more signage I have up, the more foot traffic that I have. And then how do I have a lead trigger mechanism that makes them do something so it triggers me, so I have their phone number so I can follow up with them. Okay, excellent. All right, cool. All right, so now we've got our photo, we've got all of that fun stuff. Next thing that we want to do is we want to make sure at the listing presentation, we delivered the promise. Okay. Now, I've been using this technique for almost 3 years now-ish. It's extremely powerful. So when you're at the listing appointment, again, Anna will be my projected seller here. So depending upon what time frame you want to do this, you can do it at the beginning, you can do it at the end. We prefer to do it right when we talk about our 100% satisfaction guarantee. But I would say, you know what? So Anna, one of the things that really separates me from almost any other broker out there is that I deliver what we call the promise. So I promise that you're going to have the most exceptional real estate experience on earth. Now, Anna, when I deliver on that promise, at the end of this transaction, I'm going to ask you to do two things for me. Number one, provide me a 5-star review on Zillow. And number two, refer someone to me that I can help buy or sell real estate. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, that sounds great.
What is she going to say? No, right? They never say no. So now I've just made a informal contract that I'm going to provide them this amazing service. And upon completion for return of my amazing service, they're going to do these two things. So the promise is powerful. You can call it the pledge, your commitment, whatever you want to call it. We just happen to like the word promise, and it just worked out well for us. But what I'm really securing is future business from 5-star review and a referral. Now, I just did the short version. If you want to extend it to them and you go, look, so once we move forward, I'm going to be checking in with you. My team's going to be checking in with you at certain points of the transaction to make sure that we always are delivering on this. If we're not, please let us know, because I want to fix it right then and there. I don't want you to feel any type of feelings about 2 or 3 days go by and you're not fully thrilled with our exceptional service. I want you to have the best real estate experience on earth. So please let us know so we can fix it and we can move on if there's any concerns. Does that sound fair? Now, what you're also doing there is you're giving yourself the ability to work with that seller to say, hey, there might be some things that go sideways. It's okay. If it does, just bring it to my attention so I can address it. So when we get to the closing table, I don't have you freaking out on me because there was something that you were mad about that I had no idea about because X, Y, and Z happened at inspection or appraisal or whatever it might be. People don't care if you screw up. They care if you screw up and you don't acknowledge it and you don't fix it. Okay? So this promise technique serves so many different things that are going to be able to help you, but you got to just throw it out there. And the only way to get comfortable with doing it and not sound like a cheese ball is just to practice it, right? It's just role play, right? The first time I did it, I was like, well, that's kind of cheesy. And the second time I was like, all right, because I watched their eyes light up and they were like, oh, I'm going to have the most exceptional real estate experience on earth. That sounds pretty good. Let's go with that. All right. So practice that. We have that script available in our script book, so you can get that at brendanbardick.com. Practice that script. It's just a technique. So now on the closing day of the promise, we're going to go, great. So again, Susie, John, I just wanted to follow up and make sure that we delivered on the promise. Did we deliver the most exceptional real estate experience? Yeah, no, everything was great, Brendan. We really, really appreciate everything you've done. Well, great. Again, as you know, my assistant or you, I'm going to be sending you a request for that 5-star review from Zillow. I would really appreciate if you take a few minutes to fill it out. The more you put in there and the more descriptive it is, the better it is for me to help more great clients like you. And then second, as we talked about, do you know of anyone right now that's looking to buy or sell real estate that I can help? Yeah, no, Brendan, we don't even know anybody. No, that's okay. No worries. I completely understand. Well, I'm going to check in with you about every 30 days just to see if anybody came to mind. And so I'll call you here in another 30 days just to see if you thought of anyone that I could help. All right. So I'm excited for you guys. Congratulations. I'm not going to stop following up with them every 30 days until I get that referral. Okay. Now, if they're moving to Alaska, they say, I don't know. Of course, use common sense. Don't beat a dead horse. But people don't, their primary thought process isn't to give you a referral. They don't mind being reminded because they're like, oh man, we did tell Brendan that we were going to give him that person. Man, who do we know? Who do we know? You got to get them thinking. Okay. They're not just going to willingly call you and be like, hey, Brendan, I've got this person that wants to buy or sell. When would you like to work with them? No. So this is a big, big piece. Start utilizing the promise, and I promise you, you'll have great results. Well, all right. So number 3, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Price it accurately the first time, right? This is the biggest situation that I see, and I'm going to talk about some techniques here about pricing on how to make sure that you use option pricing to get this option price adjustments to get you where you need to go. But again, right now I'm seeing agents, when the market's good, we're inflating prices to the craziest number we've ever seen. When the market is bad, we're not pricing it at where the market value should be. So again, you have to become a master of pricing to make sure that you're going to have success, because no matter what, as soon as you agree to start high and come down later, you just lost all credibility with that seller the first time you have to go back to them and ask for that first price adjustment. They want you to be the hero. A hero delivers multiple offers with great terms. A hero doesn't come back and go, yeah, it's been 2 weeks, nothing's really happened. I've done a lot of cool marketing, but we need to drop your house 50 grand. No matter what, they're not going to be happy about that. So fight that battle on the front side. So again, it gets bid up and they go, man, my agent I had 9 offers. It was amazing. They got me over asking with a lease back and all of these different things. That's why pricing is so important. Okay. So again, join us every Thursday, 12:30, Price Like a Pro. We talk about how to price accurately. We'll be more than willing to help. Now, I'm going to come off here for a second. So what I'd like to share with you is my favorite price adjustment script. This is also in our script book. And again, this is one of the, I've had several agents come back to me even years from now and they go, Brendan, I used the 3 options and it freaking worked and I couldn't believe it. Now I use it for everything. So this is a method called the 3 options. So Anna, will you be so kind to role play with me one more time?
Yep,
All
you
right.
got it.
So now you've taken the listing, and unfortunately, in that first weekend, so Thursday it hits the market, and let me be very specific. We do everything for a very specific reason. It hits the market on Thursday. We have and the reason on Thursday too is because Zillow and some of these other websites won't pull it into the first 24, 48 hours. And nothing's going to tick your seller off more than you listing on a Friday and it not hitting Zillow until Saturday night. They will lose their mind on you. Brendan, it's not on Zillow. Brendan, it's not on Zillow. When's it going to be on Zillow? Right? Be like, I don't control Zillow. What do you want me to do? So again, set yourself up. That's why a Thursday afternoon listing is a perfect time to do it. Okay. So now Thursday afternoon listing hits. Friday, it gets populated to all the websites. Any screw ups that happen, you can fix right on a Friday because you're not, skiing in Vail or whatever on a weekend. Then you have your open house extravaganza on Saturday and Sunday, which you're going to explain to them this process. So you're going to say, Anna, we're really excited. We're going to have an open house extravaganza if you're doing open houses and if it's COVID safe or whatever the parameters are. If you're not doing an open house extravaganza, then all you need to say to them is, look, I'm going to market the heck out of this thing this Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to be hitting the phones, calling all the agents. I'm going to be blasting it out on all social media. Monday at 11 a.m., I'm going to be giving you a call to discuss all of the offers we've received, if we've received offers, and if we haven't received any offers or multiple offers at that point, what the next steps we're going to need to take to make sure we get the home sold. So again, I'll collect all of the feedback, all of the data, and I will talk to you Monday at 11. Now, the reason this technique is so important is because if you do not do this, every Saturday and Sunday after every showing, you're going to get a text, what they think, what they think, what they think. The feedback, the feedback, the feedback. I don't want to do that. I want to have a life, or I want to continue to lead gen. So if I set standards with my client that says, I'm going to collect all the information from our activities this weekend and call you at this specific time. Now, you don't have to use Monday at 11. You can do 11:30. You should be using it anytime after 11 because you're going to be lead genning in the morning. But then now you're going to have this schedule. Now, if you have, at one point I was carrying 57 listings, active listings. So you could imagine I needed a lot of time from 11 o'clock until the end of the day to do, we call it drop it like it's hot Mondays. Be like, drop it like it's hot, drop it like, right? Anyway, we would go and then all Monday, we just dropping it like it's hot to get the prices down on all of our listings to get them to market value. So just think about that. Every Monday, drop it like it's hot Monday starts at 11 a.m. after your lead gen time. So it's 11, I'm going to call up Anna and I'm going to be like, now, if you have multiple offers, great. Then you're a hero and you just talk about that. If you don't have any offers or not a lot of showings or any activity or anything like that, here's how that call is going to go. So ring, ring.
Hello?
Yeah, hey, Anna, it's Brendan with XYZ Real Estate Company. Hey, I just wanted to give you the update from this weekend. Do you have a few minutes?
Yeah, this is perfect timing.
Great. So Anna, great. I mean, we had everything out to the world this weekend. Millions of buyers had access to your property. Unfortunately, we only had 3 showings. Those 3 showings felt that the property was nice, but that it was overpriced for what the markets can are currently looking to bear. One of them really loved the backyard, but just couldn't get past the fact that the kitchen needed to be updated and there were some other things that needed to be done in the home. So Anna, at this point, with us not having any offers, we have 3 options. Number one, we can do nothing and hope and pray the right buyer shows up. Number two, we can add value to the home to increase the value so that more buyers are interested in purchasing it, meaning we could remodel the kitchen, add landscaping, paint, do all of these things to the home to really get it to a higher value so more buyers would be interested in it. Or number three, Anna, we can adjust the price to current market value so that we can have more activities and get you an offer and get you on your way to Arizona. Anna, which one would you like to do?
Well, Chris and I really need every dollar. We've spent so much time and energy and money in this house. I really am wondering, since it's the first weekend, what if we just kind of wait and see how it plays out in weeks 2 and kind of maybe have this conversation next week and maybe give it one more weekend?
Yeah, Anna, that's an excellent question, and I'm so glad you asked it. And I get that asked quite a bit. The concern that I have is after the first weekend, we know once we've launched and we've done all of the things that we do to get the home into the millions of buyers' hands, if we don't have any offers or any really interested people that are interested in making an offer, that every day we're on the market, we become a depreciating asset. Do you know what I mean by depreciating asset?
Yeah, people think like it's lower than it is.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Same thing. You buy a new car, you drive it off the lot. You've heard this. The second you drive it off the lot, it's not worth as much as it was when you were on the lot. It's the same thing with a home. It's all about timing. And we know that the most activity we're going to have on this property is going to be in the first few days of us being on the market. So, Anna, at this point, you have an option. You get to either play offense or defense. Now, when you play offense, you're in control of your home, you're in control of the price, and you're in control of the offers. If you play defense, you're just waiting to get punched in the face. And I don't want you to get punched in the face. I want you to be in control. And you just hit the nail on the head with saying you want every single penny or need every single penny out of this property. If we don't do something right now, the risk is in another week, 2 weeks, only people that'll be interested or making offers on this are going to be bottom feeders, and they're going to be throwing you low ball offers with terrible terms, wanting to beat you up on inspection. So again, it's always your choice, but at this point, Anna, what would you like to do?
Well, that doesn't sound like a really great option. So I definitely understand the depreciating asset perspective. So, and Chris and I really went back and forth on the kitchen. So, I mean, what do you think? What if we just pull it off, update the kitchen, and then bring it back on the market, and then it's like a new listing, and we don't have to worry about the depreciation?
I love it. And Anna, that's a fantastic question. Now, my concern, Anna, is if we take off the property off the market right now, as you know, we're in one of the hottest seller markets in the country. Now, I'll do this if we're not in a hot market, but I'll do this way first. We're in one of the hottest markets in the country. If you take the property off the market, and I had people do this last March, decided to take it off the market, try to do some updates and repair, and then there was a major event that happened that drove the market down. Those people were kicking themselves because they could not get back to where they needed to be in price because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Now that's number one. Number two, Anna, once you do the kitchen, and I can tell you this, we don't know what else could go wrong. They could start to remodel and there could be other costs, other things. And then after all of that, you might do this entire kitchen and the buyers don't even like the remodel that you've done. So it's definitely an option, but there's a lot of risk that comes with that option. Whereas if you just adjusted the price or offered a concession to allow them to remodel the kitchen however they'd like, then that buyer gets to make those decisions and has to deal with that stress if things go wrong. So completely, again, your choice, but that one just makes me a little bit nervous because of the timing.
So, I mean, it sounds like 3 is going to be our best option. So, what do you think? You think it's what, like $50,000 less? I mean, tell me what you think.
And that's an excellent question. So it's never what I think, it's what the buyers are telling us. And based on the current lack of activity and where our current pricing is, I talked to several of the agents. For us to have any hope of receiving a qualified offer, we would need to adjust the property to $500,000.
Okay, I'm a little nervous, but let's give it a shot and let's see what happens.
Yeah, and Anna, again, remember the buyers set the market value for the home, not me or you. So when we adjust it to 500,000, if they find that that's a breakout price, you're going to have bid up. It's going to get bid up. There's going to be multiple offers. It's a much better strategy than hoping and waiting for somebody to pick you apart later. So I'm going to go ahead and make that adjustment now. I'll send you over the link that you need to sign that just notates the price adjustment. And Anna, I'm super excited. Again, we're going to be remarketing it, making calls all week long. And then by next Monday, I know we're going to have some great activity on this. And again, I'll be giving you that call to give you the update. All right. Any other questions?
No, I don't think so. I'll wait for your email.
Excellent, Anna. Have a great day.
Thanks.
So there was a lot in there, right? People are nodding, they're going, right? So again, in full speed, that's how it works. I've made that call thousands of times. It always plays out very similar. Now, let's go back to if the market is terrible, right? It's just super slow. Well, Brennan, the market's terrible. I mean, every house is taking 100 days to sell, whatever it is. My concern with that, though, Anna, is if we don't do something now, we don't know how much worse it's going to get. I had sellers that decided to wait to do an adjustment, and now they can't give their house away. What do you want to do? Now, the only way that this works is you have to truly believe in this concept that the only thing that affects the home selling is price and time. If you don't fully embrace that concept and you think that you have some sort of influence, the photographer you used has some sort of influence, the staging that you used has some sort of influence, you're going to have a tough time with this. All of those things, then you're like, well, why do I have a job? Your job is to be a consultant and provide the best marketing strategy that you possibly can to every seller to get as many eyes on that property as possible. Okay? That's your role in this, is to get as much exposure on this property as possible. You have no control whether or not the market's going to respond to it. So I had one of my affirmations every morning was detach yourself from the outcome. Detach yourself detach yourself from the outcome. If you attach yourself to the outcome of a listing selling, you will drive yourself insane. You can't cause a listing to sell. You have no control over it. You can put it in the best position to sell, but you have no control. What you do have control over is being honest with your clients. And what you really get paid an enormous amount of money to do is to advise them, just like any consultant, on what to do so they don't get screwed. That's what we get paid our money for. Okay? And some of you are still going to battle with this. I get calls and texts out of it. They're like, so you're telling me that staging doesn't matter, this doesn't matter. You could have the prettiest staged house, and if it's overpriced, it will not sell. You can have the ugliest house with no staging and graffiti inside of it. At the right price, it will sell. Every time. Every single time. Okay? So fall in love with that idea. Practice that. Now, you can use those 3 options for a number of different things, right? That works in so many different scenarios. But again, always provide your clients options so they get to make the decision. Now, here's a way that I've listened to agents do this. So Anna, hey, look, we didn't have a lot of activity. We really need to drop the price on this thing or you're not going to have any showings. I need to drop the price on this, or we need to lower the price or reduce the price. While we're at it, why don't you go ahead and reduce your commission? And while you're at it, why don't you go, screw off, right? That's a different feeling than, I understand, and I'm just as frustrated as you that we didn't have a lot of activity. Here's what we can do. 1, 2, 3, you pick. Okay. Now, in your mind, if you ever hear the word reduction, we never use that word. To reduce means that I'm taking something away. To adjust means I'm just adjusting it a little bit so it's a little bit better. Right? So think in your mind, I'm never going to use that word price drop, price reduction, anything like that. It's always, we're just adjusting it to make it more sellable. Okay? These are very important words. Very important words. All right, moving on. Oh, shameless plug. Anna, what's this?
What? All right, you guys, we have a YouTube channel. I gave you guys the link earlier in the chat box. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, but here's what's in it for you. If you enjoyed the conversation earlier about the transition to close or how to price a property, we've got an amazing CMA video on our YouTube channel. So this and so much more, be sure, use that link, subscribe, and become one of our subscribers. It would make us so happy when we get to 1,000. We'd love to celebrate with you.
Well done. Thank you. All right. Step number 4, set the expectation. Now, the biggest key to selling a property as easily as possible is what we just talked about. We gave you a couple of those expectations, but really running through every seller. What I see a lot of agents do is you try to customize your plan to what they want. And what every seller really wants is a strategy. They want you to take them from here to sold. And they want to get there as fast as humanly possible. And they want to work with the agent that delivers the best strategy to them to make that happen. So Tuesday, schedule the property. Thursday, soft launch. Friday, listing goes live. Now, again, we said Thursday afternoon. So again, I launch our listings on Thursday afternoon. Sometimes you can do Friday morning, just so you know. Saturdays, but you want to allot yourself that time for Zillow, right? Make sure that it has that time to trip. Saturday and Sunday, the open house, and then Monday, provide the feedback. So the standard becomes very important in what's going to happen. All right. Now, professional photography and marketing. Yes, of course it helps. Now, when you're working with the seller and you're talking to them about photography, one of the things that we really want to focus on, okay, and what I see a lot of agents make the mistake on here is why and what you can control when it comes to photography. So if I'm meeting with Anna, I'm going to say, Anna, so the great thing is if we use high definition photography, we're going to make this home look twice as big, twice as beautiful. We touch up everything. It's amazing. But Anna, what I do that's really unique is I watch every photo on Zillow, on realtor.com to see how it's performing versus the other photos. So if I know that one, and I can see how many stats on each photo that's being clicked on. So if we're using the front of house picture, but we're seeing that we're getting a lot more activity on your living room picture, I can adjust that to make that the main photo, Anna. So that way, when people are scrolling through 50 listings online, boom, yours pops, okay? Nothing is stagnant. I have a strategy that I'm employing to make sure that we get the best performance out of everything we do. Does that make sense? Right? She would say yes. Okay, so that's a strategy that we're using for the photography. Now, the only other tips and tricks of the photography, and we're going to talk about how to market this to get you more listings and how to get you more buyers. But when we're looking at photography is you've got to get into a relationship with a photographer that you can trust, that does everything exactly the way you want, that you know is going to show up. I've probably terminated at least 5 to 7 photographers at this point in my career. I had one time a photographer showed up in flip-flops, right? It was summer, nice out. He was like, yeah, you know, and I was like, yeah, no, not at my team. No, we don't, you know. Another photographer showed up smelling like it was 420, right? It's Colorado, right? And they were like, my clients were like, I'm pretty sure that guy's high. Boom, you are terminated. So a lot of us, what I see happen is that's a reflection of you, that photographer. And a lot of times we'll just go ahead and go, well, I ordered it through this company. They sent so-and-so. Meet that photographer. Make sure you know that they are representing you. They're going to show up on time, dressed, not, they don't have to be, in a suit, but they need to not look like they just got drowned in a bottle of whiskey, right? Like we need to make sure that they look presentable and smell that way, okay? Every single part of this is a reflection of you, okay? So other thing on photography too is be very, very critical of when you get the photography back. If it's not right, have it reshot. Does it make sense to spend another $150 to make 10 grand? Yes. If the photography didn't come out the way it was supposed to, get it reshot. If the seller doesn't like something in the photography, have the photographer go back out. Pay that extra money. Don't argue with yourself. I've had agents. They're like, I'm not going to pay another $150. It looked great. Not to them, it didn't. And that's who you're trying to impress here. We're going for the most exceptional real estate experience on earth. If you were at a high-end steak restaurant and you had a steak come out and it wasn't cooked to your exact way that you wanted it, you send it back and they're like, absolutely. They take it. They don't go, are you sure it's not medium rare? Right? So think about it. What kind of agent do you want to be? A Ritz-Carlton agent or a Motel 6 agent? You get to decide. All right? But the seller, the old school, customer's always right, no matter what. Don't argue with them. All right. So now, YouTube video, all right? YouTube being the second most hit website on the face of the planet behind Google, which Google also owns it, every single one of your listings at minimum needs to have a 30-second YouTube video. Period, end of story. The better the video, better off it's going to be. You can do an interior video and an exterior video. You can do a video of the neighborhood and or the building. Remember, this is your opportunity to market the property and make your sellers happy, but every video you drop is another marketing push for you to show the public, hey, this is what I do when I get a listing, and hey, I'm a successful real estate agent, come list with me. Look at the amazing production quality that I produce when I put something out. All right? So if you don't have a YouTube page, get a YouTube page. You have to have it in this day and age if you're going to play this game at a high level. All right. So luxury listings, taking it to the next level. Aerial photography, three-page brochures. I probably don't even have it here, but if it's a high-end listing, like $1.5 million, whatever type listing or higher, whatever your higher end is in your area, you'll make a listing book. I mean, where each page is one photo of the property, and you'll have 25 pages in a book. And each one of those is going to cost you $10 to $14 to produce. I only need 20 of them probably. I'm not going to have 900 showings at a high-end listing. Okay? So I'm going to have these. What I'm really making that brochure for is so when I go on my next luxury listing appointment, I go, look at the amazing thing that I do for your house. So it has to serve two purposes. Everything you're doing is one, to help the seller get sold, the other to help market you in the future. So spend a little on the front side. Now, if you're going, Brennan, I'm brand new to the business, I am broke, right? Call your mom, borrow some money, and market this thing right the first time. You need to spend a little bit on the front side to do this at a high level. Taking pictures with your phone and putting it on the MLS and doing, but Brennan, what if the property's ugly? Make it pretty. Again, spend a little bit on the marketing to make it pretty. It'll turn out better. And you shouldn't be worried about this if you priced it right, because it's going to pop so fast anyway, but the marketing's still going to be better for you. So, all right. Okay. Do you want to answer any questions then or keep going?
Yeah, you know what? Let's just jump into what companies do you use for marketing? Any recommendations?
For photography?
For photography and marketing, anything?
Yeah, so we use Virtuins for most of our photography, but we have very specific photographers that will only work with inside of their company that, again, we've vetted, right? You would have to talk to my marketing director on who's the secondary person, because that would not be, but we'll put this out to you of all the people we use afterwards, just so you guys have it. And number two, when we talk about marketing, if we're doing custom things, so we use Express Docs for the majority of our brochures, just listed cards and all of that. We use a company called Yellow Dog for anything that we do that's custom. When we're doing custom brochures, the turnaround time is very good. They're really good at understanding what you're trying to accomplish and have many samples from other companies that do exactly the same thing. Okay, so excellent. All right. Any other questions?
Nope, that's great.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. So, oh, and let me go back to brochures here for a second, right? So just on the brochures, remember the brochure that you utilize is going to be sitting in the home as a representation of you. Okay. Now, with my brochures, I like them to be able to stand up, and they kind of stand up and they sit on the mantle or in the kitchen, just because it's a little bit different than what the other person does. It gives me a little bit more recognition. And if people are doing, open houses or coming in and out of it, it helps set you apart. They're high gloss, they're very nice looking, right? You can do that. There's all kind of, I've seen so many different methods. What I hate and what I can tell you is when I walk into a showing with a client and there is no brochure or flyer, right? And my clients go, well, what's this deal with this one? If they're seeing 8 homes that day and you have the home that doesn't have a high quality brochure or flyer, if they're going home that night to make a decision between 2 or 3 different properties, it's going to be tough because now they've got to go look yours up online. So remember, there's a reason for every step of this. A lot of it has to do with the showing and getting your home sold once the people are there at the actual physical property. Okay.
Hey, Brendan.
Uh-huh.
Like, what's your advice? I know some agents will say no showings until the first look open house. I think there's this idea that there's a significant opportunity that's missed. What's your opinion on that matter?
Yeah, so you're asking me if we don't have showings until the first open house.
Right.
Yeah. So again, this is all going to be very specific to each property and the price point and what you're trying to accomplish. If I had my 7 to 10 days for a coming soon, I'm going to have the coming soon up. I'm pumping it out. I'm capturing buyers from my sign, from Zillow, from whatever. And again, if you're utilizing Zillow to market your listings, if you're not a premier Zillow agent, then all Zillow's doing is taking your beautiful listing, putting somebody that's paying for that zip code's contact information under it, and then they're getting that lead. So if you're not paying the extra money to be a premier agent on Zillow, you're basically marketing to give your listing lead to someone else. So it's very important to pay that extra money if you're going to be doing listings at a high level so that your name and phone number is on every single listing. Okay. Now, whether you decide to do open houses or showings prior to it, again, my goal here's this is a great question actually, and I'm going to speak passionately about this one. Your goal and the only thing you can control as a real estate professional is your time. So if my goal is to get as many offers and get this property under contract as quickly as possible for the highest price possible, I want to get as many people to see it when I release it as humanly possible, as fast as possible, and collect all of those offers and get this thing under contract so I can go, good night listing, and move on to the next property, right? I see agents that are like, think that they have this 900 step strategy to get all of these things out of this listing. That's great, but what you're wasting time on is, again, does the seller want to be on the market more days than they need to be? No. Does the seller want to do a bunch of open houses? No. Does the seller, all they want is to get a great price as quickly as possible so people stop going through their underwear drawers? That's what they want. So let me deliver that to them, move on, and keep it moving. The only reason we do open house extravaganzas, yes, it's great to try to get buyers from it. We're going to talk about that here in a second, is to satisfy really the seller's expectation of what we do. Now, we know that 3% of all buyers nationally come from an open house. 3%. So why am I going to spend a ton of time doing something that has a 3% return when we know 96% of all buyers start their search on the internet? My internet strategy has got to be 10 times as strong as my ground and pound strategy. So it's a great question, but the real answer is get them under contract as quickly as possible. I've never had a seller go, well, the seller goes, man, should we take this off? And I'll come to this in a second. Should we really take this offer? I mean, it's only the first day of being on the market. I'll get to that objection here in a second, because that is a funny one in this market, because they're like, well, maybe if we have so many people interested, we should raise the price. I'll talk about that here in a moment, okay? All right. All right, so leverage the listing to generate new business. Now, we're doing everything to make our sellers happy. Here's the 8 ways to leverage the listing. Now, when you take those coming soon photos with your regular camera, and again, take good pictures. Just another side note, rule of thumb. When you're using an iPhone, you have to take it sideways for it to post correctly inside Zillow's coming soon mechanism. If you take it up and down, it doesn't look right. It has borders on the side. So just a little side tip there. Okay, so sideways with the phone, take multiples, try to take them as good as possible. It's marketing, right? You want it to look great if you're taking them yourself just for the coming soon part. So you have the sneak peek, right? So sneak peek could just be the address saying really excited, or excuse me, you wouldn't even be the address. It'd be that property type and neighborhood. So sneak peek, I've got a great property, 4-bedroom, 2-bath coming available in Wash Park this Friday. Can't wait to tell you more about the details. That's one post. Next is the coming soon. One singular photo of the exterior of the property going, beautiful new property hitting the market this weekend, blah, 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 blah. Then you have the just listed. So when you hit the actual market, so just listed, you can use multiple photos, all of that. Open house posting on your social media. We're having an amazing 7th level open house. You're not going to say 7th level, but in your mind, you're going to be doing it. So open house extravaganza. And I know that word sounds stupid, but I use that word because every time I say it, a seller smiles. It's like when an angel gets its wings. So extravaganza, I don't know why they like that word. They think it sounds better than just an open house. So that's why I use it, okay? Offer accepted. So now once you put the property under contract, so we're so excited to help my seller, John and Susie, tell the story. Really happy for them. Such great clients to get them under contract so quickly with multiple offers, blah, blah, blah. Then, of course, sold, right? So great. You sell the property. Congratulations, blah, blah, blah. Happy 1-year home anniversary. So you do another post. So congrats to my sellers, John and Susie. I just can't remember. I'm remembering last year how wonderful it was to have you guys sell this home. Really excited for you. And then that's pretty much, you could add, there's several others that I've seen agents add in there that to really kind of draw this off. You could do once you get past clear to close. You could do once you get past inspection. You could do so many different things to market your journey of this listing. It's just you raising your hand in front of people saying, look at me, I'm a successful agent. It's really the point of it. Okay, so make sure you're leveraging it. All right, market the property, okay? So with free and paid resources, so when we're talking about pro tips of doing this, what we're looking at is avoid being a post and pray realtor, right? You don't want to just put it online and hope that somebody shows up. So here's how we do that. When I'm working with a seller, and I want to talk about this for just a second, okay? When I'm working with a seller, my main focus is to deliver a custom strategy to every home that I sell. So if they're in a golf course community, one of the things that I'm going to do that probably the other agent's not going to do is I'm going to deliver brochures to the pro shop. I'm going to make sure all the golf pros know about the property. Okay. I'm going to call other golf course communities and let them know that I've got this new amazing listing because golfers talk to golfers. And when I explain this to the seller, they're going to be like, oh, that's a great idea. Okay. If it's a horse property, I'm going to market it to the tack shop or to the local feed store or whatever. You know, I've sold plenty of country properties where, again, people are like, what are you doing here, boy? And I'm like, well, I'm here to sell this house. And so please get the manure off my shoes. And I deliver them brochures and flyers because that's a strategy. I want to get the seller's property in the hands of people that probably are going to have interest in doing it. So when we say don't be a hope and pray, put it on the MLS and go, ooh, I hope somebody shows up. Let's do some activities that are going to cause it. Maybe one of your value propositions is you door knock 100 doors in the neighborhood to let all the neighbors know because somebody in the neighborhood probably knows somebody else that wants to move into that neighborhood. Maybe that's what you do, depending upon the circumstances. Okay. Just listed cards. Maybe for every listing you do just listed cards. And here's the thing. Don't tell the seller that you're going to send out 50 just listed cards or any number of them. Go, I'm going to send out just listed cards to the area. Same thing, different phrasing. You tell them how many, they're gonna be like, just 50? Well, can't you send it to everybody? Okay. So be careful on your wording. I see people get very tactical on what they promise, and then when they don't deliver it, the seller gets very upset. Under promise, over deliver. All right. So yes, do not just hope and pray. Do activities. All right, YouTube, we know it's the beast, right? Use it, leverage it, work it. You got to just do it every single time. Now, again, neighborhood videos, when you're in front of the house, you can tape yourself, whatever you want to do to bring exposure to it. Facebook and Instagram obviously activate the army and engage the algorithm. So Anna, what does that mean when we say activate the army and engage the algorithm?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. So ultimately, one of the benefits of being on webinars like this and joining our private Facebook group is that we are the army, right? And we always offer to anyone that's in our community to let us know when things are going up. If you do a just listed or anything regarding the property, it's putting in a comment, it's putting in a like, right? And really allowing the algorithms of these social media platforms to continue to push your listing to the top of the fold or above the fold, as they say. So oftentimes, even what we do is we know something is going active, and I will send out a text and it's like, hey, this is going active, would love to get your interaction on it. Right, and more immediate is more better. Great English, right? I'm learning
Yeah,
from
mo better.
So in that, right, use us, find a little army of yourselves and recognize that the algorithm, especially in 2021, they're picking up the comments, right? More comments, the higher the post is going to stay on the fold of these social media platforms. So find your army, leverage us as your army, and really expand that algorithm to leverage the listing for your clients.
Yeah, well said. And for those of us that are going, I hate Instagram, I hate Facebook, I understand, but it's the same thing. You have to play the game that's in front of you. You can't be playing checkers if everyone else is playing chess. You've got to learn how to play chess. That's the game that we're playing. So 86% of buyers are looking for information about the neighborhood and surrounding area. So another great tip on marketing this property is at your listing, provide all the information about the area there. Make some quick, easy, print them off your computer flyers. If it's in a golf course community, stop by the membership office and get all the information on what it takes to be a member of that golf course. If it's in a mountain property or something like this, get all of the details that you can so you can sell the area. Plus, it makes your sellers love you and makes you look amazing. Plus, you'll probably learn a couple of things that you needed to know that you're going to get questions about anyway. Okay. Now, another pro tip that I will give you is when you're putting your property into the MLS, you know that you have broker notes. Okay. You can put in broker comments, but most agents don't realize is you can put an attachment in there or multiple attachments. I put an attachment in every one of my listings with exactly what I want in the offer, what I want offers to look like, all information to be very specific about inclusions, exclusions, best possible closing scenario for my seller, everything. If the hot tub is included or not included, seller would like to leave this possibly. And then I tell them the exact structure of how I want every offer to look. So no earnest money delivery later than 3 days, no inspections past 7 days. All I'm trying to do, does it always work? No. Some agents are like, well, hey, I saw your notes, but my client really wanted to have a 45-day closing. Okay, I get it, but at least they knew it. They knew that we were requesting this. So set yourself up for success in the MLS to have a preview of what does a perfect offer look like for your seller with all terms and conditions, and just let the agents know to take out the middleman, take out the risk of them sitting over some weird. Plus, we can all agree, some agents have been licensed for 3 days. Some agents have been licensed for 20 years, and both agents have sold the same amount of houses. Don't take for granted that either one, the age doesn't necessarily matter, time and service doesn't matter. It's easier to coach the person with what you want them to do, because that's our biggest challenge as a high performing listing agent, is we have to deal with some other weirdo on the other end. Okay. So make it easy for me. Thanks, Sharon. Sharon knows what I'm talking about. There's some weirdos out there for sure. Okay. All right. Now, setting up for the weekend. Here's this beautiful email that you can take a screenshot, or we'll post it on our Facebook page. If you're not part of our Facebook group, please join us. So impressed with everybody crushing the Morning Mastery Challenge this week. People killing it, seeing the Pelotons. Somebody's going to win some awesome new AirPod Pros. If you haven't, go to Brendan Bardick Real Estate Coaching Facebook group. That's our private group, members only, and join us. It's awesome, but we'll post this all in there. So again, hi, John, I'm looking forward to our open house extravaganza this weekend. I'll collect all of the feedback. I tell them by phone. I tell them by email. I'll sometimes text this to them. I want to set myself up. Does the seller always listen? No. Are there times where the seller is going to do whatever the seller wants and call me after every showing? Of course. Then after they call me after that first showing Saturday at 11, I'm like, so guys, I appreciate the call. And again, I want to give you all of the feedback as soon as it comes through. But a lot of times the agents don't respond immediately because they're showing multiple houses. I call them, I send them automated text messages, emails to try to get their information. But again, they all know that I have to have it no later than Monday at 11 o'clock. So again, I appreciate your guys' enthusiasm. I'll have everything to you no later than Monday at 11. Free your time to focus on the other things. This is what this is all about. All right, then create any experience. So in closing this, we're going to come into big points here. So use a dialer and invite the neighbors when you're doing your open house extravaganza. So when we're looking at a 7th level open house or a luxury broker's open, so this is what a next level open house looks like, or what they call a 7th level. If you're just putting a sign in the yard, you're wasting your time. Okay, that's just laziness, right? So you can see all the different levels here. And when you look at the 7th level, sign-in yards, balloons and sign riders, directional signs at all major intersections. And I used to take this for granted. Directional signs are huge. Spend a couple bucks, get custom ones with your name on them. You're gonna lose some, and you're like, oh, well, people keep taking them. It's a cost of doing business, okay? It's a cost of doing business. Flyers the week before, email invites and listing posted on all websites. So again, you can send out the just listed cards, whatever it is, door knock 100 neighbors, get on the phone that morning and remind everyone, and then host 4 other open houses in the same area, if possible, in various price ranges. So everybody sees your signs 4 weeks in a row, so they know you're the neighborhood expert. And might not even be with your company. Offer to do any open houses you can to build that consistency in that area. And then the other one that I'll add on to this, and this would be the 8th level open house, is tie it to a charitable event, okay? So right now, if it's COVID and we're trying to do can drives or whatever it is, so you're using your Mojo Dialer or Vulcan 7, or you're using the Kohl's directory if you're in our office, or whatever that you're using. So, hey, this is Brendan with XYZ Real Estate Company. I'm having this amazing open house this weekend. It's from 12 to 3 at 123 Elm Street. Beautiful 5-bedroom, 3-bath. It's got a view to die for. I'd love you to come by and take a look at the property and provide me with all of your feedback that I can deliver to the seller on what you really think about the home. I'd love to get your feedback. And in addition, we're actually really excited that we're doing a food drive because of all the COVID hits. So we're doing a can drive. If you bring by any canned goods, I'm going to make sure that they get here to the local food bank. Again, it's from 12 to 3. Susie, can I count on you being there? Okay. That's different than, hey, I'm having an open house this weekend. I'd love for you to stop by. Okay, that'd be great. So it's all in the presentation. It's all in the sell. All right, step 5, present the offer and have it accepted. Remember, if you could tattoo one thing on your forearm, and this is the golden rule of real estate, if the seller counters, you just submitted a new offer to the buyer. Okay, now I know I've got just a few minutes left here, so I'm going to wrap this up. Remember, the secret, the big secret about being a high-level listing agent is my sellers never counter. You're like, wait, what? What do you mean? Yeah, my sellers never counter or rarely counter. Why? What are you talking about? Because if my sellers counter, that's a brand new offer I have to go back and make to the buyer. And I can tell you statistically, we know that over 30% of counters are not accepted. So you just shot yourself in the foot of doing all this stuff to get this all the way here. And then you lost it because you advised your client to counter. Because they wanted to change the closing date by 3 days. I've gotten counters that are so stupid that I'm actually shocked that the agent sent them over to me, right? They're like, great offer, cash, yeah, closing 1 day, excellent. Yeah, we'd like the earnest money to be $500 more. Great, great. Okay, perfect. That's, and then I go back to my buyer and they're like, you know what? Screw them. They can keep their stupid house. And there we go. So remember, there is emotion involved in this and there is logic that goes into it. At all costs, do not counter the offer unless there's something that's going to harm your seller. Okay. And then lastly, have a closing process. So marketing also comes down to the closing gift, the past client mailing campaign, put them on a home search. So after we close every client, we have a check down of all the things we do. So people go, why would I put them on a home search once a month for their neighborhood? So now, whether it's a seller or a buyer, if they've sold a house and bought through me, I'm going to put them on a search for properties in their area every 30 days. Because I've had clients that have moved into a neighborhood, hated it, and wanted to sell in 2 months after it. I've had the craziest scenarios. People get divorced, people have issues, people should have never bought the house, people lose a job. So remember, you're marketing to them the entire time because people want to know what's happening in their neighborhood. Okay. And then of course, follow up 30 days after. And this is the one that I see very few agents do because you don't want to walk into a landmine. Because when you call, they're going to be like, well, Brennan, yeah, the house is okay, I guess, but the microwave broke the second day we moved in and it was ridiculous. And you're like, okay, well, I'm so sorry. I apologize that happened. That's terrible. The inspector might have missed it. What can I do to help? And I try to solve their problem. They just want to, there's nothing you can do, Brennan. It's nothing. It is, well, okay, well, let me know if there's anything else I can help with. At least I acknowledged it and that's all I can do, right? But making that 30-day call it's a big one. So if you liked everything you heard today, join us for our exclusive elite group coaching community. It's the best agents, the most elite agents. It's every single week. You want to take these and put them into full practice. Join us for that. If you're not into it, tell somebody else that might be needing that kind of coaching. And then of course, action changes things. So now what do I do with all this information? Brendan gave me all this info. If you don't implement it, then it's just pointless. So throw in the chat box something that you're going to implement from today. Let us know. If you watch the videos, like we said, throw a comment in there. If there's anything that you guys want to see that you're struggling with, let me know. And we'd be more than happy to produce a video that covers that subject. So I can't thank you enough. Always honored that you shared your time with us. I'll stay on for another 15 minutes or 10 minutes or so to answer any questions about any topic you have. And as always, I wish you all great success.